So let's jump to Ohio State, which was one field goal away from playing for the national championship. They probably win the national championship if they make that field goal against Georgia. That's how close they were. Instead, you lose. And now the only thing we're talking about with Ohio State is you've lost 2 straight games to Michigan in pretty much blowout fashion. And you got to go to Ann Arbor this year. Ceiling, best case scenario, ceiling for Ohio State, as it is every year, I assume, is national championship. I think we all agree on that. The floor is similar to Michigan, probably 10-2. You lose to Penn State, you lose to Michigan again. Quarterback situation, replacing him doesn't work out. Audrey, when you have Penn State beating Ohio State, then I mean, what do you make of the Buckeyes in best case, worst case right now?
Well, here we are. We're recording this on August 22nd, and Ohio State has not announced who their quarterback is. And Ryan Day said, they're going to kind of let this go on as long as they need to. Well, to me, that's problematic, right? If you have 2 quarterbacks right now, you do not have one. And to me, that's why I think other teams are within striking distance, that other team being Penn State, because you have that instability at quarterback. And that's not something that we've said about Ohio State, especially not under Ryan Day. You look at the guys that they've churned out now. Chris, with that being said, there is still a ton of talent on this roster. You don't overlook that. You don't overlook Marvin Harrison Jr. But to me, the fact that your most important position on the field, your most critical position, is still up in the air here in late August, that tells me that either Kyle McCord's got to step it up, or maybe he is not the guy. And to me, that's interesting because I think a lot of us, you go back, you look at his recruitment. He was at St. Joe's Prep, which is a Pennsylvania school that a lot of New Jersey guys go to, and everybody was looking at the Marvin Harrison, Kyle McCord reunion at Ohio State, and I don't know if we're going to see that or not. But yeah, to me right now, it's like, okay, this unbeatable machine that has seemingly been Ohio State recently now is starting to look a little bit human, and that to me is really what leaves the door open for a team like a Penn State.
Well, that's like, for me, the game that I'm most interested to cover for Notre Dame is when Ohio State comes here, because it's whether it's McCord or Brown, whatever they do at quarterback. Okay, you're going to have a start at Indiana. Like Bloomington, is that like a true hostile road environment? Not really. Then Youngstown State in Western Kentucky. Then you just drop into South Bend on a sort of primetime night game. Like that's, and in the same way, I felt like Notre Dame did not have a realistic path to beat Ohio State last year. And this year, I don't feel that way at all. I feel like with Sam Hartman, they have a puncher's chance to take them down. And, so that the worst case is suddenly becomes Notre Dame and Penn State and Michigan, and the quarterback doesn't work out. Like that's a much lower floor than I think what Michigan has. You could see Ohio State for how much talent they have. Maybe things just get off to, like, you lose at Notre Dame. Suddenly when's the last time Ohio State was feeling like real season crisis pressure on October 1st? It's been a long time, but I think that might be how it would feel if they lost at Notre Dame at the end of September.
It'd probably be 2011, the year after the tattoo stuff, and they go 6-7, and Luke Fickell's the interim head coach. The only bad season Ohio State has had for like half a century at this point. Pete, that Ohio State Notre Dame game last year was odd. I think if I recall correctly, Notre Dame was leading at halftime. Is that right?
They were lit. I think Ohio State took the lead for good on maybe the final play of the third quarter. And it felt like it felt like you were watching an NCAA tournament game between like a 3 seed and a 13 seed. And like the 13 seed is just like, they're controlling pace. Like clearly they're not as good as the better seeded team. But I loved like Notre Dame's game plan, but like they had to concede. It was Tyler Buchner versus CJ Stroud at quarterback. Like that was a blowout. Now it's Sam Hartman versus a TBD quarterback for Ohio State. That's not. I mean, you could argue that Notre Dame will have the quarterback advantage in that game, I think, pretty easily. And it's been a while since Notre Dame's played a game like that and felt like they had the advantage of quarterback. And you always, if you're playing at home and you have the better quarterback, you've got a chance to win that game.
Yeah, the reports out of Ohio State seem to be that coaches are split on McCord and Brown, but like in a positive way, like they've both played well. So we'll see. It's really that Notre Dame game when we'll find out.